And welcome again to another high energy, high vibe channeling session for December 4th, 2025. And we have the seemingly ever present Chuck Crom, who is gracing us with his presence and with the say tos again. And we will let him talk a little bit about his new endeavors. And everyone here is pretty much experienced with him. So we will forego, or if he wants to, he can give his history again, but we'll leave that up to him. Thank you, Chuck.
Yeah, well, of course, that's not necessary because, of course, all you guys have, and even Bill, we've all been together at least once before. Yeah, but I will, say that again, just a little reminder, the embracing bonelessness, the second session, gathering, whatever you want to call it, will happen this Saturday, again at 6 o'clock Central. And Willow will be presenting light codes. If you have any interest at all, I think you'll enjoy it. They'll talk about the way they showed up, the process, what they've come to understand. There's just a ton. There's so much. You'll really enjoy it a lot. And then again, the week following, it'll be like again, people call them glitches in the matrix, Mandela effects, changes in your reality. Anything that one moment or even a week ago or a day ago, or whatever, was one way, and now it's noticeably different. So, and really, it's just a group sharing for us all, really, just to connect. To express the experiences we've had, to connect and have fun. Should be a good time. So anyway, so yes. Um, So I've had some awareness for the past couple of days about kind of what the beginning of this is all going to be, the theme anyway. And yeah, let's get into this. As you're already aware, he's already hanging out. So, and I say just because, I don't, maybe just because I call him Chuck Sr. That's primarily why I say he, I guess. So, once again, we would greet all of you. And as we always do, share our appreciation for your participation with us tonight, because in that participation, of course, our experience of our reality is very enriched as well. So, as he made you aware, we have been in attendance for actually since Chuck first joined your gathering tonight. And so, we do have a particular theme that we would like to explore a little bit tonight. And in that, if you can imagine, it might be a little challenging this time of year depending on where you live, but we'll ask you to utilize your imaginations in this way. If you can imagine a very pleasant summer day and you're seated someplace comfortable, it might be your porch, it might be your front yard, it might be someplace in a natural setting that you like. You're seated in a very comfortable place and you're looking up at the sky. And in the sky are some clouds, some rather wispy clouds. And as you pay attention to these clouds, you are struck by the effortless nature with which they move through the sky. They are, in fact, impeded by nothing. They move pretty much where they will. Carried by the breeze, apparently, but regardless, they move. Sometimes they disappear in front of your eyes. On occasion, you will find one appearing as if out of nowhere. If you bring your imagination instead to what you term from this vantage point your universe and the galaxies within it, and even within the idea of your sciences, those galaxies are in continuous movement. And again, they move effortlessly through your universe. They are impeded by nothing. And so we mention these ideas because these are representations of your own freedom of movement. In your 1900s, you put a wall around your movement to some degree. You focused it in particular areas. As you moved into the latter part of your 1900s and into this new millennium, you changed all of that for yourselves. You allowed yourselves to see the holes that have actually really always existed in your reality. In that, you began to explore. You began to explore in ways that typically only a relatively small number of individuals on your planet would have done. You would call them priests, you would call them shamans, you would call them clerics. There's various names, but they were few in number compared to the population. Now the number of individuals that have an interest in that exploration continually grow at an increasing rapid rate because this is where you're headed. In this, each of you has a direction, a way of embracing your own expansion into yourself. When you come back from what you term dreams or dream time, and you remember a dream, you may or may not be aware that what it is that you have remembered are symbols, symbols of the movement of your own consciousness. And those symbols are expressed in a way that have some meaning to you within the experience that you're having. You may not understand that your seemingly physical reality is exactly the same way. It is filled with symbols. In fact, it is all symbols of the movements that go on within you. The way that you do things from the perspective of perhaps we'll say in this moment, the inner you, as it flows into this experience that perhaps in this moment we'll call the outer you, is you will express one idea from the inner you, and it is expressed many, many ways in this experience, what in this moment we're terming the outer experience. In this, within this time period, within your shifting period, within your transition period, more than anything else, what you desire is to embrace your own freedom of movement, your own choices, whatever they may be. Most of you will find that challenging because of within the idea of linear time, the conditioning that you've had, shall we say, the ways that you've been influenced. You will find embracing your own freedom, embracing the choices that you have in the moment, challenging to embrace and to act on as they occur. In that sense, you will, in a way, and we're going to say it simply like this, you then restrict yourself. You restrict your own movement. As you do that, you will see many symbols of that in your life. Perhaps money does not flow into your life like you would like it to. It is restricted. Perhaps there's a part of your body that's not moving the way that it naturally would, and it is restricted. Perhaps there are things that are happening in your workplace that don't allow you to move and do the things that you want to in your workplace. You are restricted, and it can go on and on and on. By restricting your own movement, you will see the symbolism of that throughout your life. Now, what you can do is you can attempt to look at all these individual things and attempt to address all these individual things. But in that, you are not addressing what in this moment we'll term the cause of why you have those things going on. The cause is the restriction of your own movement, your own freedom, your own choices in the moment. Now, by this, we're not suggesting that you attempt to push aside the beliefs that you already have and pretend that they're not part of your reality, because, of course, that is not going to work. Rather, find the ones that aren't quite so strong and work with those. Attempt to make choices with the ones that aren't quite so powerful and do things that are a little uncomfortable for you to do. This will begin to move your energy in a particular way. And then you can little by little begin to apply that to other things that you're doing. As you do that, the perhaps we'll say in the moment, more encompassing you, the deeper you, the wider you, whatever term you would like to use, of course, as it always is paying attention. Recognizes the movement that you're making. Recognizes the direction that you would like to take. And it aids you in that. It gives you more opportunities to do that. Now, you may find as you do this that there are perhaps what we might call speed bumps as you go through this process. Because what you're going to do, of course, is you're going to run into those ideas, those beliefs that tell you that if you make these types of choices, there's going to be some sort of a experience that you're going to have that will be less than pleasant for you. That won't turn out quite the way you would like it to turn out. Because this is the experiences that you've had, or these are the things that you've seen other people experience. These are the things that you've been told by other individuals. There's many ways that you are influenced. But if you can allow yourself to do this, you will find that the insight, the intuition, the impressions, the various ways that you provide yourself with information will become easier to pick up. You will find that as you continue to make those choices, the ones that you make will flow easier for you. You'll find that individuals around you will help you with things. Understand that, as we heard Arla mention a little earlier, that when these things occur to you, what you're actually doing, of course, is you're creating the situation yourself. You create it, in a sense, in collaboration with other individuals. But again, you're the one that's creating your experience of your reality. So even though, of course, the other individuals do in fact exist, shall we say, behind the scenes, because they are expressions of, perhaps we'll say in this moment, the larger them, just you are an expression of your larger you. The actual connections and the actual exchanges that you have are going on, as we said before, behind the scenes. Then you project that energy into your reality and you filter it with your filters, your beliefs. So you create the experience. So if you were here earlier and you heard of Arla's experience, Arla created that experience. Yes, she created it in collaboration with her friends, but she allowed that experience to occur and she created it for herself. So the idea of recognizing how you're restricting the way you would actually like to move. And if you can, recognize how and why you're restricting that movement, what it is that hinders you. And in this, of course, a great genuineness with yourself is necessary to recognize why it is you hold yourself back from expressing yourself in particular ways. A great deal of vulnerability with yourself will need to be embraced. At first, we would recommend you don't speak with other people about what you're doing unless you have somebody in your life that you trust implicitly with anything and everything. Because many of the choices that you're going to attempt to be making are choices that you already feel uncomfortable about making. And unless you know for certain that this other individual will support you totally in that choice, don't bring those individuals into your process. You want to make your process as easy as possible. This time period that you're all in is about your growth. It's about your expansiveness. You wouldn't be here if you weren't an active participant in what you're all doing. As a result of that, you will ask a little bit of yourself in this. And if you like challenges, if you have asked yourself to move forward, even if it is a little bit tougher, the inner you will provide you with that opportunity. It will provide you with an opportunity to ride more energetic rapids as you move down your river. That doesn't mean it has to stay that way. If you find it is too rough, you can again speak with the inner you. I need things to be a little slower. And the inner you will do that for you. There's no pace at which this actually has to happen. It's going to happen. You will do one of two things here. You will finish this shift and become who it is that you are, or you will leave the experience. And from that perspective, understand who you are in a way more similar to the way it's been done for many, many, many centuries. And again, as each month goes by, your age plays less and less and less of a role in that than what it used to. Once you get to a place of a particular type of an understanding, you will understand the idea of age in a way that you did not before. And you will be able to do a great many things with your expression then. In that regard, we would suggest to treat that subject matter in a way that you might if, let's say, you walk into an ice cream parlor and you're going to choose which ice cream you want to eat that day. It's not a huge choice, it's just a choice. Which flavor would I like to try today? If you want, let's say, chocolate, and the person in front of you takes the last bit of chocolate and you have to choose something else, it's not the end of the world. Approach the idea we just spoke of with that kind of energy. Do not make it overly important at all. Just understand that it's a choice that may in fact show itself. Do not dwell on it. Allow yourself again to express yourself in your life in the way that you would like to, regardless of what your birth certificate says as far as how you should be expressing yourself. Express yourself in the way that you would like to, and just leave it at that. Do not worry about the rest. Attempt to have fun with your exploration. Again, when you feel inspired to do something, when you feel curious to do something, it may be excitement. It may not be that strong. Allow yourself to follow those things. And again, you're going to live what you call, quote unquote, a regular life while you're doing this. Your life is not going to usually become something so very different than when it was a couple of days ago. Now, that doesn't mean that you may not notice changes. You may indeed notice changes, and they will be different depending on who you are, because, of course, you have a unique journey to walk. It's not the same as the individual who's right next to you. So, if you look around in your life, and your life has a variety of restrictions in it, regardless of how they may be manifest for you, look within you to see how it is that you're restricting yourself. And again, especially in the beginning, you will need to pay attention to the beliefs that are leaning you in that direction and have some understanding about that. And again, in this movement, you are not divesting yourself of beliefs. You are instead using that concept like walking into a large walk-in closet filled with clothes, where now you get to choose which article of clothing you would like to wear. And if you want to walk back in 15 minutes and change your clothes, you can. You get to wear whatever clothes you would want to. This is what you're going to do with beliefs. Again, beliefs are your explanation to you about why things occur in your physical reality. If you were watching things just poof in and out of your reality all the time, at this point, and certainly before this, you would be very confused. And so they occur in certain ways. So you've come up with explanations about how all the things in your reality work. They don't just come into creation automatically, they show up in particular ways. These are what your beliefs are about. They describe your reality to you. They make it make sense to you from this vantage point. The idea with this shift is that you will use them in the way that you want to use them. In the past, it's almost as if your beliefs were a strong breeze and you were a dry leaf and they were blowing you all over the place. Your movement in this shift will change all of that. You will choose how you want to express yourself in your life. Now, does that mean that it's not going to be challenging? Does that mean it's not going to take some insight? Does that mean it's not going to take some contemplation, some understanding? Of course, it will take all of that. And the length of time that that takes depends on the individual, because each individual, of course, has been influenced in different ways. Embrace the help that you have that's out there in any way, shape, or form that it comes. It does not need to be presented in any particular way. Even if other individuals don't quite understand why it is that you chose that particular thing to connect to. makes no difference. The rest of you knows why you're attracted to that and what eventually it will lead to for you. So, when you restrict yourself from being who you are, it will show up in your world in many, many, many ways. Because, of course, that's the nature of the symbolism around you. That's what your world does. So, attempt to become familiar with why it is that you don't make the choices that you actually would like to make. And be honest with yourself about it. And be compassionate with yourself about it. If you find that you have anxiety, if you find that you have fearfulness, if you find that you have anything that inhibits you whatsoever, be understanding with yourself. Do not be hard on yourself. And attempt to do the things that are necessary for you to move beyond those things in a gentle way. Attempting to push yourself through them because you believe that you should be able to do something, you will find will most likely not bear fruit. So be gentle with yourself when you do these things. We can tell you for certain that there is no part of consciousness that has a timeline that it's applying to what you're doing here. You only do that to yourselves. So be gentle to yourselves in all of this. So that's what we will share with you tonight. If there's more of this that you would like to hear, there's explanations, if there's something else that you would like to hear, we'd be very happy to express and share whatever we have to share in any regard.
Miles?
Welcome, Chuck Sr.
A little louder, my friend.
Thank you.
I still cannot hear you.
That's going to take me 1 second here. I should have done this before.
If you're speaking, we can't hear you, Miles.
No, I'm not speaking. I was looking for where I make the adjustment to the volume, and it's already at 100%. So
Do you have a different microphone that's picking up your voice than you think maybe?
Oh, great point, Chuck. Let me check that. Yes. Okay, is it better now?
Yes.
Okay, good. I was having some trouble with that earlier. Every time they do a upgrade to my Microsoft program, I end up with mic problems. So the first thing I wanted, there's two things I wanted to talk about. The first one was I was listening to Sonia Croquette on Next Level Soul, and she suggested that I look at myself from the perspective of my higher self. And that turned out to be quite an experience for me. It just literally took my breath away. I saw myself as this radiant, like a sun. And I wondered if you might comment on that.
So if you can imagine you, this you that you consider yourself to be, investing yourself in anything that's incredibly pleasurable to you, regardless of what it is. And as you invest yourself in that and as you experience that, you thoroughly enjoy the experience. This is the perspective that your quote unquote higher self has with you perpetually, always. So, indeed, if you bring your attention to that part of yourself, you will find that the manner in which your energy is expressed, so that it makes some sense to you here, will take, again, in symbolic nature, many expressions like that. All of those helping you understand just how fantastic that aspect of you enjoys expressing this aspect of itself. So, yes.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you. And I love hearing that it always sees me that way.
Indeed,
This,
you are you, my friend.
thank you. The second one is a little. I'm going to struggle here because it's the first time I heard this concept. But basically, it goes something like this: I think of my body as an energetic presence. But I listened to a gentleman today that said that's only a part of it, that our body is actually the architect of the energy that flows through us, creating a field that interweaves with the crystalline field that of the earth. And that our body and our spine, our posture, and our breath actually go into the earth and create that earth. So, in other words, the way we carry ourselves creates the earth as well as our reality and form. So the body is more than just energy. It's an architect that creates a field that brings the energy that flows through us into form in this reality and interweaves that with Gaia herself. Do I have that straight?
So, this individual is choosing to express a flow of events and to place the idea of the body in a particular position, which is not incorrect. From our vantage point, because the body, in fact, is you, just like the planet is you. So it's not necessarily that the planet is expressed from the body or energy needs to flow through the body in whatever way, shape, or form you believe it may be expressed for the planet to be expressed. The planet is an expression of you, as the body is an expression of you and is you. The body is you, the planet is you. And of course, we have a number of individuals here. And as a result of that, we have that number of planets that we can speak of in this moment to make it very simple. It can be difficult many times to understand the vastness of what you really are. When you look out, as your scientists do, and you see planets and suns and galaxies, and even the ideas of universes, these are you. They are within the substance of you. Again, you think in terms of physical manifestations separated by distance. You do that not because it's incorrect. You do that because it's part of the idea of this particular type of a reality. But It's not in actuality how all that exists. It's the way that you perceive it. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. You're doing that intentionally for this experience. But you are vast. You are far more than you can comprehend or imagine from this particular vantage point. And so, all things that you experience are an expression of you. This is an idea right now. As you move deeper into your understanding of yourself, that idea will become a knowingness, and its quality will become quite different than what it is right now. It's a little like at some point in your life, you may have heard about this thing called the banana split. And maybe you'd eaten bananas, or perhaps you had vanilla ice cream and chocolate ice cream and strawberry ice cream and the other components that make up this particular dish. And then at some point, you ate all of that together as the banana split. And of course, it is a different experience that way. But you didn't know the experience until you had the experience. Now, from this vantage point, because you work with time, as you will shape it and say it this way, as you grow into your awareness once again of who you are, you will know these things again. Just like once you eat the banana split, you know what a banana split is then.
Well, thank you very much, Chuck. That was very elucidating and quite beautiful. I think I have a better understanding now based on what you've said. So I'm very grateful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you once again to Setu for coming amongst us. And I must congratulate you on the flow of your communication. Your speaking style is masterful because it just flows without any of the human things which would um, bug people in Toastmasters, I will say.
We would like to add this at this moment, that our expression in this moment is very much a collaborative expression. It involves all of you in this moment. Without that being true, we would not be having this gathering. This is not our expression solely. It is all of you and us collaborate for this to occur in this moment.
Thank you for that. And my question is, I know that the biggest transformation is going to be in human consciousness and flowing towards a unified consciousness where we love, honor, and respect the consciousness, knowing it is in all things. Aside from that, what is the biggest transformation we would experience and the biggest challenge as a human race for the shift, please?
Your challenges really will depend on the individual. The challenges that all of you have in front of you are different than the challenges of individuals who are not what you might call explorers in this time. Those individuals that from your present position, when you look around your world, seem to be making choices in their life that are quite contrary to what you believe human beings would make in association with other human beings, will find themselves having unique challenges. So the challenges will be unique to the individual. For those of you who explore, as you widen your awareness, your challenges will not increase, they will decrease for you. You may find that your greatest challenges will be in doing just that, in allowing yourself to move beyond some of the influences that are very strong in your life so that you can embrace understanding yourself as something quite different than what you are right now. Hmm, perhaps we'll say something more. Again, we've used this idea previously and we'll use it again. When you were 10 years of age, you had little idea of what it was like to be the you that you are now. You could not really imagine what it was like to be this you. From this vantage point, you understand the 10-year-old you fairly well. You have a more, shall we say, encompassing awareness of your existence. This is what you will move into, a much more encompassing awareness of your existence. It will include this you still, but as this you is so much more than the 10-year-old you, similarly, the you that you will become will have that vantage point also. You will understand much, much more of your existence than this you does presently. In that, your existence is no longer going to be about challenges. It will be about your exploration, not that you don't explore now, but you won't explore with challenges the way that you've come to know challenges. It will be much different. There will be a freedom involved that you can imagine to some degree right now, but it will be very pleasant to experience.
Thank you. We're all looking forward to that. Sparkling?
I just wanted to say thank you for talking about the restrictions and explaining how restrictions work in our lives and for the reminder to be gentle. That really meant a lot.
You have a great propensity. You may want to, there you go. You have a great propensity to project your energy, we'll say it this way, onto the individuals around you and to expect from them the judgments that you place on yourself. And so, of course, then you have that, you see that, you experience that. If you can be gentle with yourself, if you can be kind with yourself, if you don't place a lot of expectation on yourself genuinely, then you'll find that those around you will not do that either. Because the way that they approach you has got to do with your own energy. Now, sometimes you may give yourself milder forms of that as an opportunity to embrace how you actually feel about yourself and to move a little deeper into your own self-trust. But it's you embracing you for who you are, regardless of how you express yourself as that you right now, and then moving more fully into that, that you're going to find is going to be the most important thing for you to do.
Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.
Take it away, Angie.
I thought it was very timely that you were speaking of dreams and dream symbolism. Um, I had a doozy of a dream this morning, but basically, dreams is the primary way, I guess, my soul speaks to me or can communicate with me because whatever I'm doing, it's having a hard time to get through to me in my waking in my waking life. So I guess that's one of my limitations. Another limitation is my office and my creative has been severely blocked. But anyway, um, I was hoping maybe that you could give me some insight on this dream that I had. If if you is that something that you feel comfortable doing? Trying to
Mention the dream to us if you would, please.
Okay, check out some of the symbols. Okay, so in this dream, I'm driving in an open topped Jeep with two other people, two other companions, and it's dusk, and we're at the top of this mountain, and we're at this lake, and I have this inner knowing that I'm supposed to drive out into the lake. So I drive my Jeep out into the lake, and it stays on the top on the surface of the water until I finally pull to a stop. As soon as it pulls to a stop, then it immediately starts to sink, and all of us start sinking under the water. um, Unseen helpers, beings, come and bring my two companions in the Jeep back up to safety and take them to a chalet type of castle type of thing on the shore. Next thing I know, I'm now inside the chalet with them, and my companion is very mad at me. She's very cross that I drove our Jeep into the water, and I kind of just said, it was like I knew half the truth on some level. I said I had to go see my mother, and in other words, that was the way to see her. Next thing I know, my disgruntled companion, she's looking out over the water on the balcony with one of the helper beings, and they were trying to talk to her and help her understand why I did it, and they were saying she knew on some level that that was to go into the water and to sink down to its depths was the only way to activate the change or something like that. And as soon as I heard them saying that to her, I immediately was given, it's like I backtracked. I was given the vision of what happened to me when I sank down in the water and the others were brought up. I sank much deeper and I started to go through this change. My limbs turned like a glowing gold, and I knew that I was shifting into a type of dragon being. And right behind me or watching me, overseeing me in the depths of this lake was this ginormous, like primordial black dragon. Um, I never saw the full change, but I knew that that's what was happening to me. And then the next thing I remember, I'm on the shore. I'm trying to, I guess I was trying to put my G back before, and it was interesting. It was like magnetic blocks. It went back together real easy. I wasn't expecting it. So anyway, we were back over there and the dragon was with me this time. It was me and the dragon on the shore. And I realized that a storm is coming. And I get alarmed because I realize we're at the very top of the mountain, aka we're most vulnerable for lightning strikes. And when I asked for confirmation about this, the dragon agreed. And I was like, okay, we gotta go then. And I tried to start taking apart the chalet, the building, so that we could get going and leave so we wouldn't and the dragon just sat there and was like, this is where I belong. I'm not going anywhere. And that was the end of the dream. But it just felt so packed with symbolism, and yet unfortunately I'm just not that great yet at interpreting dreams, at least for myself. So any insight you could give me on this really interesting experience.
So it does have a lot of symbolism, is it? And it was, you mentioned quite a bit. And so let's do this.
Mhm.
Begin again. And we're going to have you now pause at certain areas. So if you
Okay.
would.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, okay, so it started off, it's like dusk, getting dark. I'm with my two companions. I'm driving in this open top
So
Jeep.
we're going to have you pause there.
Okay.
So dusk is a change in the energy of the day, which is a change in the energy that you're surrounded in, which means a change in your energy. The open top Jeep, again, an open top vehicle has more freedom, shall we say, than a vehicle that's enclosed. So again, it represents you and the freedom that you're giving yourself in this venue or suggesting that you have to yourself in this venue. The companions are you. They are expressions of different viewpoints of yourself in this Jeep. Water is a strong symbol on your planet. It does many, many, many things. It moves through places that are very tight. It cleanses things. It nurtures things. It gives life. It is a medium that, in the expression of your oceans and their depths, hold mysteries that only when you go to the deep parts of that can you find and explore. In that, it's a symbol of the depths of yourself. From that point, the change that you allowed yourself to become familiar with later on with the dragon, of course, has significance. Dragons, if you look at the way that your mythology works, express themselves in similar ways all the time. Powerful, fearless, with a great deal of ability. Many times, but not always, with a great deal of wisdom as well, a knowingness about things. Yes, we like your illustration, Ray.
Giving the visuals.
The mountaintop, from that vantage point, you can see everything that's around you. Your vision is much enhanced from a position where you're at the bottom of the mountain. A chalet, again, when you have structures in your dream, frequently what you're doing is you're interpreting for yourself. In other words, that greater you. Even though, as you turn to the dragon, believing that that particular location could be dangerous as a result of lightning strikes, you also became aware that the dragon didn't feel any need to leave, felt no fear or no danger from anything that may occur to it in that position. So what you're doing with all of this is you're helping yourself understand through the dream medium all the various facets of ability that you have, that you can and you are actually applying to your existence. That doesn't mean that they're showing up for you physically immediately. That means that they're percolating under the surface and waiting for moments to begin to come through so they can become part of your life. We are going to suggest for all of you that regardless of what the medium is, whether it's in your waking life, whether it's in your dream life, whether it's something that you read, anytime that you read something and your penchant is to give it a negative connotation in some way, shape, or form, attempt to pause for a moment and see how it could be reframed to be at least an opportunity for you, if not some expression of some positive ability that you have that you could express in that particular moment. Now, regardless of whether at any point in time you are able to interpret a dream, the effects of the dream do not hinge on your ability to be able to interpret it. What you're doing for yourself is you're showing yourself what's already there. It doesn't need to be interpreted to have its effect. You experience it because it's having an effect. You experience to show yourself the effect that's already there. Your end of things leans into what we spoke of earlier, the recognition of why it is that you inhibit yourself, and then gently attempting to move beyond those things. Then what you can do is you can express those qualities that were in the dream that are yours to be able to express. At whatever pace, you will express those. So that is what we would say to you.
So it's saying the qualities that I can utilize are mountaintop like viewpoints and stuff? Is that sort of
Yes, that you have a vision from that you already have within you, the ability to see all the things that you need to see, that you already have within you a sense of power, a sense of strength, wisdom, all the qualities that were expressed symbolically in the dream are qualities that you contain. And so the idea is that these qualities, shall we say, wait for the opportunity to be expressed through you. They're always there. There's nothing you can do to disconnect them from yourself. They are part of who you are. The idea, again, is to recognize what is it that inhibits you? What influences are playing a part in your life yet that are, in a sense, in your way of being able to allow you to make the choices to be the individual that you would like to be in this moment. We would also suggest that sometimes individuals' ideas about how they should be expressing themselves can be driven by the ideas of your world at large. And in that regard, what we'll call in this moment the ego aspect of your world at large. So sometimes you need to look closely at what your motivation is about expressing yourself in a particular way. Is it really you, or is it a way that you believe you should express yourself because of the opinions that are expressed around you in the world? Again, transparency with yourself, honesty with yourself, and then the ability to be unique and to embrace yourself with an understanding of sometimes how challenging these movements can be will serve you as you do these types of things for yourself.
did you get any kind of impression of if the dream was alluding to how I'm limiting myself? Did it feel like that was in there at all? Because I know a lot of times they tell you what's happening in a way to like give you sort of a solution. I'm
The
sort of
biggest
getting.
clue for this is to look at how some of your companions expressed themselves at the choices that you made. They were unhappy with some of your choices. This is a beginning of that understanding for you.
Hmm.
If you want to, you can contemplate the dream, even ask tonight that those concepts about your partners, your companions, become clearer to you. And you will be able to understand the things that limit you in that regard a little bit more deeply.
Is there a universal meaning for the dragon symbol in a dream? But that,
On your planet, there is. Again, now, the one thing we didn't mention with the dragon is the color black. Again, black being a positive thing, black being all inclusive, right? All things are subsumed by black. All things are within black, which again, regardless of the symbolism, it will always lead back to a you that has all ability at its fingertips. And of course, when we say a you, we're talking about that incredibly vast you that really is you. So when you have these types of experiences like dreams, many times what you're going to find is that it's not about making sweeping changes in your life the next day. It's about coming to a little deeper understanding about what it is that influences you to respond the way that you do in your existence, to become more familiar with yourself. And as you become more familiar with yourself, you find yourself in a position to make different choices in your life because you understand yourself more deeply, including the reasons why you're making other types of choices. So it's a process, of course.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And we have one more quick statement which fits in well with what you said earlier and with that one about being uncomfortable and having our inner self support us. In my experience, once we decide who we wish to be, and then we have hesitancies about expressing that because, as you mentioned before, there may be consequences or we're concerned about how others might think about it. And that is when we just need to be our authentic self and push through that uncomfortableness. And the inner self and the higher self will help us to minimize any of those consequences which we had foresaw.
Indeed, we will share Chuck's experience with you. About a year ago, perhaps a little longer than that, Chuck would share these types of ideas only on the pages in Facebook that were created to share these types of ideas. Freeform Spiritual Wisdom and The Home We Never Left. They were not shared, however, on the main page that everybody else saw. Only certain individuals were viewing the other page because he was a little reticent. But what that meant is that he still was not expressing who he was. He was more comfortable with not everybody knowing who he was because he was a little unsure about how everybody would respond. The average people in his life that were friends of his who didn't have an interest in exploring these types of things. We, of course, continued to urge him to express himself fully. He took that step, expressed everything, everywhere, openly. There were surprising outcomes. As you are aware, he has a YouTube channel where he shares this type of information with individuals that have these types of interests. What he found is that friends of his in his workplace who do not do this at all were watching these. And for a few moments when they mentioned that, he was a little uncomfortable. But their responses were positive. As he embraced himself more and more, what he has found is that there are a rapidly growing number of individuals who are paying attention to what it is that he's expressing. For one reason, he has embraced himself. From this example, please understand your fears about being yourself are only that. As you express yourself as who you actually are in this regard, even if you have reticence to do that, you will find it increasingly supported as the weeks and the months and the years go by. Because this is the direction that you're all headed. These other individuals around you, even though this is not necessarily their life, behind the scenes, they are all participants in your movement. And so they will flavor the responses that the other individuals have. As well as that, remember, you're creating your experience of your reality. As you embrace who you are, you will see the results of that show up in your reality. If you don't, if it's not fully that, then look to where you still have some inhibitions. Look to where you still have a little bit of judgment. Look to where there's still some uneasiness, those types of things. And again, there's nothing wrong with any of that. It's many times part of the process. As the weeks go by, as the months go by, whenever it is that you take the opportunity to make this type of movement for yourself, you will be supported. Doesn't mean that the path may not be clear or may be clear for you. It may be cloudy for you. You may have to discover some things. There may be processes involved. There will always be processes involved. Angie mentioned dream time. It is, in fact, one of those places where you will move your beliefs out of the way to allow yourself movements and ideas that you will frequently not allow yourself within what you call physical reality. That is one of the advantages of dream time. So if you would like to utilize that, even daydreams, many people can do it in meditation. There's many ways you can do it. You can utilize your imagination. Fanciful ways. Sit on your couch. Let your imagination do all the things it wants to do. Whatever it might happen to be, allow yourself freedom in that regard.
Thank you. And we're all grateful and happy that Chuck discarded those reticent fears and burst out onto the scene. And thank you to Setu. That is the end of our questions, unless you have something else to add.
No, what will happen is I'll come a little bit more to the forefront just to share with you guys the energy that's flowing through my life right now. I've never felt before. It's very powerful. It's like I've jumped on a sled on a snowy hill and the momentum going down that hill is increasing. And I don't have to do anything about it, but desire to be on the sled.
And likewise,
And
impact.
and I didn't make that decision that long ago, guys. Really. A couple months ago is when I made that choice and that decision to not hide who I was from anybody any longer. Did I have some reticence? I did. Did I have some inhibitions? I did. I just decided to do it. And it's worked out well.
You're embracing boundlessness.
Indeed. That was part of where the name came from. Actually, it showed up in the shower one day, as these things can do.
The power of water.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, we're going to wrap this session up, and thank you again to Chuck and to Setu and all of the questioners and all of the attendees. We're going to take a short 4-minute break or so and start again.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Oh, what fun it is to ride. Get another sleigh option in there. And if anyone has any questions or comments, now would be a good time.